Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this morning. Today is D-Day for Casper Schmeichel. It is D-Day for Casper Schmeichel. He does have a scan today, another scan, and that will determine how long the keeper is out for. Celtic do not believe that he needs an operation, but they'll find out today if it does. Brendan Rodgers said it's about how long it takes for it to repair and heal, so we should know more on Monday. For me, it sounds like the keeper is out for the rest of the season, so Sinosalo will have a free run to get us the treble. He's a fantastically young keeper. He's the future of Celtic. That's why Celtic brought him in the same summer as they brought in Casper Schmeichel. They seen him as a natural progression from Schmeichel onto Sinosalo, and I think that we're in safe hands. But then again, we called Kasper clean sheet Kasper at the beginning of the season. You can't obviously judge a keeper on one game. It will come to a lot more important games in bigger competitions, the Champions League, etc., where we will judge Sinosalo. Celtic do face St Johnstone next Sunday, and away to St Johnstone. They've increased the capacity for Celtic fans for that game. And then the final home game before the split, before the SPFL split, is at home to Kilmarnock, and hopefully we can do our bit to make sure that Kilmarnock are in and about the relegation zone. But when it comes to Sinosalo, he's a keeper that is the future of the club. Can he keep the number one jersey for himself long term if Casper Schmeichel does come back before the end of this season? I'm thinking it's not. I think that we should prepare ourselves for a little bit of not so good news today. I can't see this. I mean, Celtic still aren't coming out and telling us the extent of the injury. They're just saying that he needs this scan to see how long he's going to be out for and see how long it's going to take to repair any damage that has been done. Brendan Rodgers did secure the 3 points with Sinosalo in goal. Tell me in the comments what you thought about him. I thought the first half he was trying to get the ball out a lot quicker than what Kasper does. He was changing it about a bit. He tried to do some throw out balls to try and get it over the pressing players, but he's still a young keeper. He is still a young keeper that is untested at Champions League level. And that's where Celtic will have their concerns, or do have concerns. When you look back to a young David Marshall who stepped in for Celtic at a young age for a game against Barcelona, and he did fantastically well in that game. I think if Sinosalo is good enough and he's ready, I think that we'll be fine when it comes to that. With Casper Schmeichel, I still stand by, if he is out for any length of time at all, that he will consider his future at the club. And let's hope that it's not. Let's hope that it's not. Let's hope it is only a matter of weeks that Kasper is out. Now, with the game this weekend, it does, with no midweek game, again, it does mean that we have a little bit of time on our hands when it comes to the world of Celtic. One of the interesting things that I did notice is a little bit of formation change from Celtic at the weekend, which was nice to see Brendan Rodgers. But it's at that time of year that we start looking forward to transfer speculation. It's already started. There's been lots of names. Will Celtic, Brendan Rodgers has already said that it'll make my summer a lot easier if we can tie up Dyson Maeda. How much would you pay Dyson Maeda to stay at Celtic? Would you break the bank? Obviously, the top two players at the club just now are Cameron Carter-Vickers and Callum McGregor. They're both on £37,000 a week. Would you pay Dyson Maeda more than that to stay at Celtic? I would go up to the 45, 50 grand bracket. I'm being honest. I'll put my hands up, and he's worth it every day. Every minute of the day, I think he's a far more, he gives you a lot more than what Kyogo did as a striker. But Brendan Rodgers has been after Matthias from Brøndby. Brøndby have already admitted, and so has Matthias, that he will be leaving this summer. The interest from Celtic has not gone away. How do Celtic fit in Adam Ida, Dyson Maeda, and Matthias if he comes in? That'd give us three fantastic strikers. But then you've got young Johnny Kenny to add to the mix as well. And Johnny Kenny's back at Celtic. He went back to Ireland. He did exactly what the backroom staff asked him to do. Go away, build yourself up, grow in stature as a player, and then come back and you can get into the first team. We've been complaining for a long time about not getting these younger players into the team, but where would that leave the young Johnny Kenny next season with the dilemma of hardly getting on the bench, because Brendan Rodgers only goes with one striker on the bench when he's playing one striker up front? Or does he change the system next season? It's a big shout going into this summer, but we've got the league to win. Jeffrey Sloop, it looks like he could be one that could stay. Who would you say that would leave Celtic this summer? I mean, I think there's obviously Gustav Lagerbielke will leave the club. Lewis Palmer, he will leave the club also. There's an option to buy with that one. I think that Stephen Welsh might decide there's absolutely no chance of me getting back into this Celtic team. I'm playing first team football. He'll leave the club also. So it does leave us needing players in. We all go into the summer thinking that it's not going to be a big transfer window, that there's not going to be a lot of money spent, and people will say that it's the rebuild. But it's not really a rebuild when it's not first team starters that are leaving, but it's the sort of the players on the outskirts of the, and everyone says it's a squad game in this day and age. Yes, it is the squad game, but some players get to a certain age where they think, I really need to be playing football more, and I think that comes under the Gustav Lagerbielke. And definitely the Stephen Welshes of the world. I mean, they know that they can go to another club and play football every single week. So will they leave the club this summer? Will there be a big turnaround when it comes to players? I think there will be again this summer. And there's another pressing thing. I mean, people are talking about players coming in and people going. We then enter the summer with it being Brendan Rodgers' last summer of his contract. Yes, we go into the summer where Brendan Rodgers has only 1 year left on his 3-year deal that he signed. I did say that he would stay for the full 3 years. It looks like he will, obviously. I can't see anybody coming in for Brendan Rodgers and paying 10 million compensation or 5 million compensation. Let's face it, I think teams down south know the limitations of Brendan Rodgers and what he can do. And Brendan Rodgers is entirely happy at Celtic. So it's going to be a case of, will he get the new extended contract that he wants? I think it'll be an easy conversation for Dermot and Brendan to have. And would you like it done and dusted before the summer? I mean, there's a few things that we would like to get settled before the summer, and I think we can all agree. And one of them is get Dyson Maida sorted before he hits the 40 goals, and get him tied up on a fantastic deal. I'd add another 3 years. He's got 2 years left on his current contract. I'd add another 3 years onto that in the deal and put him on 45 to 50 grand a week. I think that he's that important as a player, and he can bring more to Celtic. We look back at the way that Kyogo's played over the last couple of years, and he ran over the back line and tried to, Dyson's got that bit more pace and a bit more directness. And I think, who's the better striker? And tell me in the comments, who do you think is the better striker? Do you think it was Kyogo, who's done it for Celtic for years, or do you think it's Dyson Maida? Do you think it's Dyson? He's playing in his preferred position, and I do believe that his wife is expecting, according to comments on the channel, and people are saying, look, he's going nowhere when his wife's expecting. Well, people said that about Greg Taylor, but he's off. But anyway, I think that if we can get Dyson tied up on a 45 to 50 grand a week deal, that will keep him at Celtic for at least another 2 years anyway, and then it still gives us the opportunity to sell him on in a few years' time, because that's the way that Celtic do it. Let's be honest, it is the way that Celtic do it. And other Celtic news, Greg Taylor is obviously leaving Celtic, and we wish him well. Brendan Rodgers, will he stay? It's a big shout. And so when it comes to the end of the season, we also talk about player of the season. Who would be your player of the season? Would it be Casper Schmeichel, who done fantastically well for us in the Champions League? And you've got to remember, he was clean sheet Kasper for such a big part of the season, up until around about December, I think it was, wasn't it? And then there is the Dyson Maida effect. Dyson Maida, who scored 30 goals to date, and looks like he's going to score more. People always end up going with the strikers, but Casper Schmeichel has done absolutely amazing. I think that he's been better than Joe Hart as a goalkeeper. I think that Kasper could go on and play till he's 40-year-old quite easily. He's 38 just now. But if it wasn't for Dyson being such a good player this season, he will obviously get the big shout for player of the season. But Casper Schmeichel has done fantastically well. Who would be your player of the season? Tell me in the comments, because it is getting to that time of year when we start thinking about it. Or would it be someone completely different? Would it be Callum McGregor for what he brings to the team? And who would be your most improved player? This is something that we did when Brendan came in and Gustav Lagerbielke came in, and I said that, and we did it under Ange Postecoglou also, and Liam Scales. I called the shout out that Liam Scales would be the most improved player this year, and it's been difficult. I think that everyone has played at such a high level this year, and it's hard to kind of pick out any player. I mean, you could say that Dyson Maida has shone this season, but has he improved? And I would say probably yes. So he's up there for not only improved this season and taken his game to the next level, but he's also player of the year. Who do you think is player of the season for Celtic, and who do you think is the most improved player this season? On that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.